he screwed up big time, and so pay attention, can teach you how to actually train for a powerlifting competition. Coach Greg, and in today's video, Jesse James competes in his first powerlifting meet. And so about a month before the competition, Jesse calls me up, says, I'm doing a powerlifting meet. Can you coach me? And I'm like, of course I can. And so I designed a program to allow him to peak for the meet in only 30 days. I asked his weight, what the weight class was, and so I said the best way to get stronger is to eat more food. You need to be in a calorie surplus. And so in essence, I told him to go on a bulk. And you're all saying, oh, Coach Greg, he wants everyone to diet all the time. No, I don't. Don't know why y'all say that. And Jesse, who is extremely lean, we see him all the time walking around with a six-pack. I know for certain he would be stronger if he were to eat more and gain more weight. And so with the goal of maximizing his performance, I told him, you need to eat more, increase your body weight. But Jesse was already over the weight class. And so he said, well, how is that going to work out? Why would I gain weight if I'm already above the weight class? In powerlifting, as well as many other sports, for example, the UFC, we all weigh far above what we're going to weigh on competition day. And so what we do is we dehydrate our bodies the day or two before the competition. And this allows us to weigh in at a lighter weight while holding on to more size. Once the weigh-in is over, you can drink and eat more, carb back up, and have the energy you had before you dieted. Once you weigh in, you can drink water, carb back up, and gain a bunch of weight, and so lift far above what you weighed in at. And so let's watch the video together and see, did Jesse listen to Coach Greg? How far did he veer off the training plan? A lot. I'm going to spoil it. He screwed up big time, and so pay attention, can teach you how to actually train for a powerlifting competition.
I'll be preparing for my first ever powerlifting meet. Most preps take about 90 days, but that's not my style, so we're gonna do it in 30.
And so obviously 30 days is not enough to maximize your competition prep. It takes usually 8 to 12 weeks in order to get your body primed to lift 1 rep maxes. But you can still do a decent job in 30 days. It's certainly better than just showing up unprepared.
I'm going to bulk all the way up to day 28, and on day 29, I'm going to do a water cut, a very massive one. Therefore, I am heavier and stronger technically, but I still meet the weigh-in criteria. Therefore, I'm just a genius.
Exactly. Good thinking, Jesse James. I never would have thought of that myself ever.
We're 4 weeks out, which means I have a top set of 385 pounds for 4 reps. On 3 weeks, we're going to 3, 2 weeks to 2, 1 week to 1.
And so he did, in fact, listen to the progression. I said, look, we're going to start 4 weeks out. We're going to do sets of 4. 3 weeks out, sets of 3. 2 weeks out, sets of 2, and so on. And in doing that, you're progressive overloading towards your 1 rep max. You're lifting heavier than last time, getting your body prepared so that you don't get hurt. Because the last thing you'd want to do is say, oh, I'm competing in 30 days. Time to 1 rep max everything. I'm going to go to failure and injure myself. You need to prepare your body to do a 1 rep max. And so what I normally would like to see is prepare a lot further out. For example, if you had started 8 weeks out, I would have said do sets of 8. 7 weeks out, sets of 7. And so every week you go heavier and heavier and you gradually progress towards your 1 rep max.
Like, when was the last time you saw someone do a reverse banded back squat at a local Planet Fitness?
It's always fun learning something new. That was my favorite thing I've ever done in my life.
And so very happy to see he enjoyed the reverse band squat. And so what that does is it makes the weight a lot easier in the bottom. The bottom, you're very weak in comparison to strength that you have at the top. The reason because at the bottom of the squat, in the hole, so to speak, the muscles are being lengthened greatly. A lot weaker at the bottom than at the top. Just think of it. When you put a really heavy squat on the bar and you only go halfway down, it's a lot easier than if you go all the way down. And so in adding in bands, it makes the weight easy at the bottom and harder at the top. The bands are lightening the load in the bottom, making it a lot easier. But at the top, the bands are no longer stretching, making it a lot harder. That allows the entire range of motion to be harder than last time. You can lift a heavier weight for more reps, allowing you to peak faster for competition. And in 30 days, you need to peak faster than last time.
Got to get some rest in. Got my lawn chair. I got my Sour Patch Kids. And of course, I got my dignity.
I want him to take each of his reps very seriously on the squat, bench, and deadlift, and all the accessory work, well, he could do at his own convenience.
275 pounds for 4 reps, paused. It's about to humble my ass. I'm not gonna lie, I've been training arm wrestling, and my forearms are absolutely lit up right now.
Sure he did, it's arm wrestling, the forearms. from arm wrestling. And so one thing I wanted to make sure is he got used to pausing the weight. Most people, when they do the bench press, they do touch and go. In a competition, you have to hold the bar on your chest motionless before pressing it out to lock out. And so with the principle of specificity, you want to ensure that you're doing the same thing in the gym as you'll be doing in competition. If not, you might forget to pause the weight.
Remember these words. Intensity over volume.
Exactly. My personal opinion, way too many people are going to the gym, doing a bunch of junk volume. The sets, they're not really making that big a difference. Way better to do 1 or 2 really hard, really intense sets than to do 10 half-ass sets. And the reason we added board presses is we're trying to increase the strength of the lockout. When you bench press to a board and you don't use a full range of motion, it places more emphasis on the triceps. And so I watched Jesse's lifts and I said, you need to increase the strength of your lockout. With boards, he's using less range of motion, heavier weights, increase the strength of the tricep, allow him to lock out heavier weights.
405 in the bar right now. My last warm-up set. Things are feeling much better than they ever have. I swear I'm already getting stronger. And I really don't know how it's possible because I haven't deadlifted yet in this entire program.
And one thing that's important to remember is you can't judge how strong you are from where you start. Although his deadlift is not very strong right now, it doesn't mean it might not be strong in the future.
I was really happy with how I looked, but we ran into a problem. I wasn't gaining weight like planned.
And so he ran into a problem not gaining weight as planned. And so how many of you out there have failed to gain weight when you tried? Raise your hand. All of you didn't eat enough. You need to eat more food. And so the last thing you want to do is get my friggin' cookbook if you're trying to gain a bunch of fat weight. This cookbook is to help you lose weight or maintain your weight or to maintain. And so if you're trying to bulk up, try to eat high-calorie dense foods. Foods that have a lot of energy that don't take up a lot of space. All Jesse needs to do is eat more. It really is that simple. But when you're flexing in the mirror and you want to see your abs and you're focused on looking lean, aesthetic, very hard to convince yourself, well, I'm going to eat some more ice cream right now. I'm going to have another sandwich. And so if you're not gaining weight, you need to eat more.
Not gonna lie, it feels a little bit harder on my soul powerlift than it is to bodybuild. I think bodybuilding might be easier. And I thought it was gonna be the other way around, but I think I'm wrong.
And so I'm going to 100% disagree with Jesse, and I've even made videos on this in the past. Bodybuilding is so much harder than powerlifting, it's not even funny. And sorry to all the powerlifters out there saying, oh, it's way harder. Yeah, bending over and picking up a heavy weight for 1 rep is not harder than dieting for 4 months, starving yourself. And so it is debatable as to which form of training is harder. Personally, I still find bodybuilding harder, but it's mostly the diet. Jesse is able to gain weight. He can technically eat what he wants. He can go to the store, order ice cream, order seconds, go to fast food restaurants, and just eat. When he was bodybuilding, how did he sound? He had decreased sex drive, testosterone levels were down, and so is it really harder to powerlift when you can eat what you want in comparison to bodybuilding where you have to starve yourself and get shredded? Now, if you are bodybuilding or dieting or having low test levels, please consider G-test or 3-test. Andrew Huberman on the Joe Rogan podcast said Fedosia Agrestis and Tom Catalee, Ali's favorite, each can increase testosterone 1 to 200 nanograms per deciliter. That's a lot. And so imagine you have low testosterone levels, you take G-test or 3-test, and it goes up. Your sex drive can increase, you feel better, and perhaps ward off having to take HRT.
I have not benched on a legitimate powerlifting bench yet, so this is gonna actually make me like 4% stronger.
And Jesse is literally not lying. If you were to ever bench press on a fat pad, quite literally it's called a fat pad, it's thicker and wider. That allows you to lift a lot more weight. When you arch your back, your lats are literally squeezing into the pad. And as you push up, it almost feels like it's spotting you. And so depending on the gym you go to and the bench being used, look at the width of the bench. If it's a narrow bench, not very wide, you're going to lift a lot less than on a wider bench. The thicker and wider it is, the better. And so I'm talking about the pad. Thicker pad and wider, it's going to allow you to bench more.
It was finally time to put my strength to the test.
And so I never told Jesse to test out his maxes and see how much stronger he got. That is not what you're supposed to do. When you're approaching the competition, you don't veer off the plan and suddenly go for an 8-rep max on something you could do 4.
My goal is to get 275 pounds for 8 reps.
And so doing 275 for 8, of which you could do it for 4 at the start of the training, it's not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to increase the training volume before you head into the meet. We're actually supposed to taper down into the meet. You want to rest and recover, allow your central nervous system to feel better. And so notice how you said, felt a little bit overtrained and took a day off, felt better, and bam, you set a PR. We're trying to set PRs at the competition, not in training heading into the competition. And so instead of attempting 275 for 8, which is to failure, you should be using more weight for fewer reps and allowing your body, your mind to recover. When you show up on meet day, you want to feel fresh, to peak. And in any given year, you can maybe peak 2 or 3 times a year. You can't always be at your best. If you are, you're doing it wrong. Training is set up so that certain times of the year, you're going to feel much stronger. Other times, you're not. You can't always be at your best. Think of the Olympics. They're running the 100-meter dash. The guys, they prepare and peak at the Olympics. They can't run 9.8 seconds flat every race, every single weekend. There's one time of the year they want to be at their best, and they peak for that. And the same applies in powerlifting, bodybuilding, and so on. You can't always be 5% body fat in show condition or bench press the world record on any given day. There's certain times of the year where you're peaking, other times deloading, and so on. And so a week prior to a competition, you shouldn't be trying to double your reps on the bench. And so what do we see? Well, we see significant improvements in his bench press and his squat, and a very small improvement in the deadlift. But this isn't at meet day. This is 5 days before the competition. And so we're not trying to peak 5 days out. We're trying to peak on show day. And so when you go to failure, when you really push your limits, and think of it, doing AMRAP, as many reps as possible on the squat, bench, and deadlift, that's hard. It's hard on the body. It's hard on the mind. And so what you're doing is you're hurting your chances of peaking properly for the competition. You train this hard in the last days before the competition, it's going to fatigue the body and not allow you to perform at your best. And so regardless of how you perform at the meet, you could have lifted more had you not done this. And so is that not it's not all about? It's about peaking properly for when it counts. Now, if you're not doing a competition and you're just training for fun and you want to test out your maxes in this fashion, then by all means, this is great, amazing. But if you want to be at your best and win that competition, you don't want to do AMRAPs 5 days out from the competition. Hopefully you learned something. Jesse's going to cover his final results in another video. Ending it here. Remember, training books, cookbooks, circle diet book, coaching plans by me and my team. Subscribe, click the bell button, like the video if you liked it, comment for the algorithm, watch one of the boops, follow me on Instagram, Greg Doucette IB Pro, and don't forget the Seco bars, all the supplements, code Greg, 10% off, cookbooks, training books, the circle diet book, my life's work, how to lose weight, keep it off. Please click the link in the description. And until next time, I am out.